Hi everyone, a massive warm welcome to today's Altcoin Bible. We're going to crack straight in. I'm going to share with you the riskiest one to watch I've ever had. Now, I say that because there is a fundamental issue surrounding it, but I think there is tremendous upside here. So if you know how to manage your risk, then this could be a hugely profitable move. It's something I'm looking at personally. It's not something you should be doing, but it's just something I want to put on your radar because sometimes we have to think outside of the box to get those sort of returns that we're looking for. Let me crack straight in. I'm going to start with my danger zone, and that is a fan favorite. That is XRP. Now, XRP has a huge following known as the XRP Army, very popular cryptocurrency throughout the many years. There are multiple reasons for that. I will not get into that. But right now, they are going through some issues in a catalyst sense with the SEC suing them over securities violations. Now, this has been going on for a very long time. Now, from time to time, though, you will see on the price chart that XRP, in modern history at least, has had big spikes based on rumors or insights coming out of the court case with the SEC that it's actually improving, they're winning, all that kind of stuff. There's a little bit of that going on over here, especially with the SEC cracking down with Coinbase and Binance. There's been a little bit of movement. Again, you can look into that what you will, but the technicals essentially will tell you everything you need to know about it. And right now, I think we had a bit of a hopium surge into another one of those, little peaks in sentiment, and we've had that run up. Now, last week I was cautious with some of our clients in our mastermind group that I thought that XRP had reached a bit of a sentiment peak, and it was due for a drop based on a pretty clear bearish divergence. Now, I can see on the chart that we had this peak here and that peak, but on the RSI, so the momentum indicator, bulls are actually trailing off. It wasn't meeting. The second peak was higher and the momentum was lower, which is a bearish divergence. And generally, when you see that on a daily or 4-hourly, it tends to reverse. Same on the bottom side. If you see bullish divergence on the bottom, generally it's a pretty good sign of reversing. This hasn't gotten any better, and essentially on the T, it did have that pullback that I was suggesting that it would have last week. Now, if I can draw that. So it was about a 12% move down to a very key moving average. The thing is, it got bought up so quick. So unless you've got your orders all set and you're ready to go, if you're trading derivatives or you're trading spot, you need to have a lot of these orders pre-programmed, because sometimes if there's still a catalyst happening behind the scenes, it's very risky in a sense, because it could reverse super suddenly on any tweet, any bit of news that comes back out. But you can see here that the buyers are just willing and waiting beneath, got bought up at key support, bang, 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 then all the way up. And it essentially reversed that entire move, that 12% move, went up another 12% and even went up maybe 15% total. But this is where I'm starting to get concerned now. It's had that another impulse up, but what is the momentum indicator doing here? The RSI is telling us it is all down from here and the peaks are just getting higher. That is a dead giveaway. This is an even bigger bearish divergence now. And I'm thinking this is the prime candidate for a danger zone. And once it loses this 20 simple moving average on the daily, which looks like to be soon, and it sits perfectly on this volume support, you lose that 50 cent level, she's going down. So I think back down to this sort of region to really test out these moving averages, this support level. So I think 46, 45 cents is on the cards absolutely pretty soon. That's my danger zone for this week. I do not like the look of XRP. But again, you just have to be careful. Like I said, if it comes out tomorrow that they've, say, won the SEC case court case, then this is just going to fly higher, and divergences be damned, it won't matter. But just technically, that's what I'm looking at. All right, moving on to the one to watch, the riskiest one to watch I've ever had that I can remember is BNB. Now, I almost put this as my cherry ripe. Because of the additional risk, I have decided not to. Why I say that it is, the riskiest one to watch is because of what's going on with BNB token. And the SEC suing Binance and all that. Now, there could be a similar situation like FTX happening here, where they have a tremendous amount of their assets collateralized by BNB and not the actual assets themselves. And we are, potentially seeing the on-chain data sort of signaling that Binance might be selling some of their Bitcoin to prop up the BNB price at these core support levels. You can see just how vicious they've been bought up. That is the reason. Now, you do not want to get caught in a FTT, so FTX style, cascading doom loop to the downside. Absolutely not. But if you believe that Binance is going to be okay, they're going to be sound, and BNB token is going to underpin everything that it's already doing, then this is just a massive overreaction in sentiment to the downside, and you can look at it as an opportunity. BNB is down 28% from up here. So right now we're at a very interesting point at huge support. We know that Binance is likely propping up the price. I'd be very surprised if they're not in some way, shape or form. This is on huge support. We see on the RSI that we have essentially bottomed into massively oversold territory. We're seeing the stock RSI begin to turn over at the bottom, momentum ticking up as well. Again, this is key support. I think this could be the contrarian runner. I think from here to there, I think that's a 25% move, maybe up to volume support 20%, maybe the 20 as a reflexivity move. Because everyone is short this, everyone is bearish this, and in those environments, if you decide to short this or you go against this, if you again try to go in with the consensus, you can get absolutely wrecked because everyone thinks the same thing. And what Binance would be doing, they're probably going long on this as well. If they're doing this, they'll be selling Bitcoin, buying BNB at support, and trying to wreck as many people as possible, make as much money on the reverse side. Whether you think that's ethically okay, that's not for me to debate. Just on the charts, it is an opportunity that you can look at. And I think contrarian wise, you've got to look at that. Same with, Solana was going to zero when SBF went down. That was at crucial support, and then it reversed and absolutely wrecked everyone's faces when they thought it was going to continue to go down lower. So absolutely one to watch. I could easily see this as a cherry right where you could sort of, long it in these sort of areas, wait for a pullback, even spot. I'd, sort of look at opportunities buying in here. For mine, though, it does carry quite a heavy risk profile. So it's really up to you on how if you ever want to even touch this. If you're very risk averse, you just don't touch this at all. But it is an opportunity there that I would see for myself, seeing these sort of signals here. But again, if they are doing the dodgy and they're trying to prop up BNB price and suddenly they lose the support level, say a big seller comes on the market that they don't anticipate and really test them and they can't hold this level, then we really have to see, because this could fall very, very quickly below 200 and then you're sort of holding the bag there. So you need to manage your risk very, very carefully if you get into this. All right, now we're going to look at cherry ripes, and it's a bit different this week. I want to sort of attack it from a different angle, not a chart that's, looking to break out of a pattern and it's moving higher and whatnot. Because the altcoin market has been absolutely eviscerated because of the SEC doing what it's doing, I want to have a look at what I look for in picking bottoms. Now, very similar to BNB here, I'm going to look at cryptos that really aren't sort of subject to either the securities law that, the SEC has named, and that have had a pretty good smashing, and then I think should have a fairly decent runway to recover. And I'm looking at momentum indicators. So this is AGIX, AI token. AI is still going to be a massive flavor of, I'm going to say the month, but it's going to be a big trend going into the next few years. I think AGIX eventually finds this bottom here, and we know how volatile it can be and how much this can run. Eventually, this is going to bottom out, and I'm just watching this channel just moving down. Just like this. It's not perfect, but it's kind of what I've been sort of plotting, and you could draw it maybe another one down here, and that's sort of the high value zone. But this is starting to look really enticing to me, especially on the daily. You can see here the last time I bottomed down here, it was in that heavily oversold territory. The momentum indicators are what I am interested in here, because if we look at what we're seeing here in the RSI doing that bottoming situation again, it's higher than the last one. So you can almost look at this almost as a bullish divergence in a sense, because price has actually been falling and it's going much, much lower. But overall, over that time, the strength of the bulls has been increasing. So this is over a longer period of time, obviously, but that's what I want to see when we see a big wick like that down into, potential support, or at least just a big capitulation as we have seen. You do want to see that bulls actually come in with some strength, or you want to see a massive flush out. But what I like to see is here as well, you've got that sort of that big sell candle there in terms of red. I mean, it's not the biggest we've seen, but it was reasonably large. And now we've got just a bit of volume coming in for the bulls on this run back up. So also the RSI, the stock RSI now swapping over here. So this is just showing that the RSI, the momentum is actually starting to increase for the bulls, which I really, really like. Momentum just starting to tick up. But just broadly, I think this is a reasonably good setup for a pretty nice move, at least back into this kind of box range here, and then maybe, 28% up to the 20 moving average. Ultimately, though, this is going to provide significant resistance now overhead at 24 cents, but it doesn't mean you can't, have this move. I'm looking at this move back up to 24 cents-ish region. Now, for this to be, uber bullish and it's going higher, you really want this trend line to break. So you've got peak there, peak there, peak there. So very clear downtrend. you want to see this channel begin to get challenged and broken out through this support level. So this area in here, that is where you want to be looking. But in the interim, this is how you can really help yourself in terms of picking those sort of bottoms, because we have saying, again, volume come in here. We're trying to find a bit of support. You can go down to the 4 hour, the 1 hour as well, see where this looks. But I'm looking at ADX and liking what I'm seeing. Exactly the same with Shiba Inu. So I wanted to give you 2 examples of what I'm seeing. So SHIB, you can do your fundamental analysis on it and see where you think it might go. But just generally, Shiba Inu and Dogecoin generally have a pretty good runway once they do eventually make those either local bottoms or longer term bottoms. So you want to pay attention to that. And if you have a look here, that just a beautiful breakdown up here at this huge volume support, just bang all the way down here, going sideways, just had no strength whatsoever, kept running into these moving averages and just getting smacked down. See, it fell down this horizontal support, big capitulation wick. And what I like to see that little red shading there, this is, one of the deepest oversold markers that you'll see on the RSI. In fact, going back, even back then, didn't get as deep as this. So this is a huge flush out. And I love to see that in terms of finding a local bottom and seeing a reversal, because Shiba Inu has such potential to have a really strong reflexivity move back to, moving averages and this higher support. So if we're looking here, stock RSI beginning to curl over, those moving averages have just swapped. So I love to see all of that. And really it's trying to build here. It's got a little bit of a higher low, trying to really crank up out here. So from this low here to where it is now, that's a 28% move. Again, you're going to find it really difficult to try and pick these bottoms unless you're looking on weekly and looking at these volume supports here. But my view is this is going to try and challenge back up here another 20%. So you can have a look at your Fibonacci retracement levels, which you'd have to go back a bit further and see where is the furthest back. Yeah, well, here for mine, right? I think the Fibonacci is not going to tell you too much here, because I think the retracement's gone far deeper than the Fib, has on there. But what I really like here is if we're just looking at the big, longer term, broad picture in terms of risk reward here, see this huge cluster of volume here, or this price action on the left-hand side, and these wicks going into these areas. This here for mine, and the volume, look at that volume on the right-hand side, longer term. This is a beautiful area to accumulate crypto just because of the previous price action. And you look at the RSI down here, looks just fantastic. You buy down here, you want to be selling much, much higher. There's not a time to be getting bearish, unless you start to see these types of areas get challenged, 500. Then if that starts falling down, you don't have much price action previous to that. That's when you do get concerned. You need to manage your risk. So guys, for mine, just for the sake that a lot of these cryptos are just down so much, and if you have a conviction with them in the short to longer term, then I think this is well worth your time and energy to be focused on these as, cherry ripe, maybe a bit sort of out of the box by looking at momentum indicators and whatnot. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. As always, have an absolute blast. We'll catch you again for our next one.